Da-da. Let's just continue on. Oh, a phone call may be the least comforting thing at the moment. Honestly, I prefer being in the same room with them right now, but I'll take what I can get. Where did everyone go? Becca first. She'll get angry at me for worrying about her. She isn't some helpless damsel in distress after all. She isn't the shy little girl I knew when we were children. We're already far from the people we were back then, but that's more than enough reason to check in on her. Don't have to imagine her taking anything head on. She'll do it instead of asking for help when she needs it. I don't care if she gets mad at me, if only to know that she's fine. I ring. In the silence of the hallway, its sound alone might as well be sharp enough to pierce through my ears. Another second passes. 2, 3. But when on the 9th ring it goes straight to her voicemail, a cold feeling instantly lodges in my stomach.
Rebecca Gales here. You've reached my voicemail. Sorry if I can't get to you right now. Oh, and if this is Isabella, yes, you're free to reheat the food in my fridge. Otherwise, leave a message.
Probably just busy, that's all, though I still barely manage to keep my voice even when I speak.
Hey Becca, call me back when you're free. We need to talk. ASAP.
Becca will be alright. Is alright. She's safe. She's with someone else. In the event that woman shows up, she'll have someone with her. Someone she'll be able to ask for help. She's safe. She can handle herself. Becca might have a fiery temper, but she knows when she's faced with something she can't handle herself. Rebecca will see my missed call and she'll call me back. Though I don't express it enough, Rebecca is someone I consider important to me. Oh, flashback. She's been my friend for the longest. Anyone else would have been fed up with me and left. The girl stuck by me, no matter how big of a jerk I've been. There's Zach and Isabella too, of course. I'll always be thankful for having them around. The worst times before, however, Becca was there. No one believes it when I say it, but I've surely had awful moments as a bratty kid and as a horrible teen. Issues, I've too many of them to count and refuse to deal with for a time. At least that's what Andrew likes to tell me. I tend to think nothing of it. It has mellowed down over the years, thanks to the professor really, but at times I do wonder if it still burdens me the way I did all those years ago. After all, I was terrible, especially around the time of my parents' separation. Looking back at it now, I had no reason to direct all my frustrations towards everyone else. While I wasn't a kid who lashed out at anyone, preferring to keep it to myself, turning those negative feelings into more productive things. I've grown distance from a lot of people because of it, from my old friends back in my old school and the neighbors I've hung out with before moving. A habit I've likely brought with me into adulthood. I was just so angry with everyone and everything. All I kept thinking about was myself, wondering why me. In retrospect, I was a selfish little bastard who thought the world revolved around me. That I shouldn't have been going through it. I believed my behavior was entitled, that I had the right. Tough times, but she stuck with me, snapped me out of my little sulk, as she often phrases it, whenever she sees the chance to bring it up. She didn't tolerate my bullshit, but she didn't leave me alone either. If anything, the whole thing made her stick around. Her concern may have grown a bit overbearing as the years went by, but she's still an old friend, nevertheless. I owe her a lot. That won't change.
Damn it. Where are you, Becca?
Another message left on her voicemail, then on a third call, I hang up. For the time being, I can't do anything more than to wait for her to return my calls. Worrying aimlessly won't get me anywhere. Zach, on the other hand, that guy attracts trouble no matter how much he tries to avoid it. Doesn't help how he hasn't been too hot lately with a lot of people. His mention of plans yesterday doesn't sit too well with me either. He might be the next responsible adult after Rebecca out of the four of us, but I've still got to check on the big guy. He's dead in prison, right? But make sure he's doing okay at the very least, whatever he has planned on doing. All I'm asking is for not to be idiotic. He's a sensible guy, I'm sure. However, desperation clings and pushes people to do things rational or irrational. It doesn't matter. Clear thinking flies out the window the moment you're in danger, and I sincerely hope that he has not found himself in a tricky situation. His phone doesn't even ring before he answers, or his voicemail, at least.
Hey, it's Zach.
He's got his phone off.
A voicemail, anyway. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So, just leave a message, yeah? And no, Ash, you're not allowed to lockpick your way into my apartment again. Just do what any other decent human being does and call if I'm not around. Thanks.
Did he turn it off? Why? I don't want to assume the worst yet. Maybe he has forgot to charge it? Maybe it's dead? Can't be. The guy can be a bit of a Boy Scout, even more than I am as a cop. He's the type who has extra battery or a power bank in his bag if he ever needs it. And he always does. He won't say anything or brag about it, but he's got a quite roster of VIP freelance clients. He won't just leave his phone dead in the case he's on the field, particularly when people will likely be looking for him. He always leaves his connection open whenever clients or his friends need him. Zach is reliable like that.
Why isn't anyone answering?
Because they're dead. His mobile is in out-of-range areas sounds more plausible, although the thought of it doesn't completely shake off the unease. Unlike Rebecca and I, he took the time to listen to what Isabella said. And even if he didn't believe it, he was definitely the first one to offer help or try to do something. He ends up trouble doing whatever it is, so help me, I'm going to. Well, I can't be rash, I'm aware of that. I've been running the same reminder in my head since last night. But if something happens, I'm certain my reaction won't be pretty.
Yo, Zach, call me back, alright? I wanted to check in and, yeah, just please call me back.
It's usually a joke between us when I say he's the Watson to my Sherlock. I don't see him as some assistant to put aside until he's needed, like some people like to believe, though. He's not some pity friend I keep around to make myself look good.
If anything, he's the one who stayed by me out of pity.
Zach's the one who puts up with me the most of the time, even when he doesn't need to. It's not a case of cool cop who helped out a minority. In truth, I was hard-headed, hot-tempered, and reckless rookie up until I met him. It wasn't anything sudden or some part of me is still that rookie, but I've grown, thanks to him. He tempers that part of me. Considering how our first impressions went, I'm lucky he stuck around. Becca and I may have spent a lot of years together as children, but Zach, he's probably the closest thing I'll call to a best friend, though. It's more than that. I can't even say that word. He has my back and I'll always have his. He's a brother like I've
and I have
never had
every reason to worry about my brother.
Yeah, it's his family. Becca's neighbor did say she went out to meet with someone, no specific names. If I'm wrong and she's not with Professor Clark, then maybe it's with Zach. They've never been close, but it's not the kind of awkward friendship where meeting together remains out of the question. Regardless, I continue dialing for his phone another 3 times, like I've done with Becca's. In the end, after the 3rd attempt with no one answering, I stop and cut the call with a ragged exhale.
Waiting game it is, then.
I've been trained for those. Hell, I'm used to them. Just not when it comes to the people I'm close to. Much as I keep reminding myself to maintain a level head, it's a whole different matter when it's someone you know. Personal feelings will likely get involved at some point. It's starting now, actually, with the anxious strings coiling and uncoiling, causing a racket. And it annoys me that all I can do right now is grit my teeth and trudge back to Isabella's apartment. Useless. That's what I am in the face of this. A mad dash around Luxborn and Anselm isn't going to help things. It's not like I'll simply stumble across them on the side of the road during a drive. The city's too big of a place for one person to go searching for only 2 people. I'll be lucky if I even glimpse a hair of either of them. With one last frustrated glance towards the open skies, I slip back into Isabella's apartment and slam the door behind me. I might have already grown used to this, but the waiting will always be the hardest part. More so when it's the people you care about.
Ash, did you really have to shut it like that?
This is not the first time I've seen Isabella like this. Standing casually by her kitchenette, a ladle in hand, keeping an eye on whatever's stewing on the stove while humming a soft tune under her breath. 5 years ago, it has become a common sight after the 3 of them, including Zach and Rebecca, found a mutual interest in cooking. After that, whenever our schedule allows it, one of them will invite everyone to dinner or lunch instead of eating out. Rebecca prefers it that way, healthier, she claims. Zach's just too happy to be able to cook for everyone. Isabella, on the other hand, as long as there's food, she's happy. Me, I've been banned from the kitchen ever since the pressure cooker incident. Easier times, good times. Right now, however, the scene brings an odd sense of normalcy, strange fit with all the things going on around us. Not unwelcome, only bizarre, I suppose? Isabella doesn't follow up on her question earlier, but she does raise an eyebrow my way when I take too long to answer. For that, I only offer a casual shrug in response and a short answer.
I've checked with Zach and Rebecca. I'm just waiting to hear back from them.
I'll add in a quip or two for her if the timing for a joke isn't off or doing so won't be inappropriate. I don't want to alarm her either. There's no reason to. Yet. Until I've received an answer from Rebecca or Zach, whichever comes first. Nevertheless, it's clear she has plenty of questions. It's right there in the subtle crease between her eyebrows and the inquisitive gleam in her eyes. Curious as she is, though, she decides against voicing all of her questions out. Instead, she shifts her attention back to the stove and gestures vaguely with her hand in the couch's direction.
Well, if we're going to wait for them, don't stand around there. It's getting distracting.
You're just cooking. How am I distracting?
I don't know. Something might explode again, maybe. Zach's kitchen ban for you is also in effect here, you know. Now shoo, go. Stop hovering. You'll ruin the food. I'll be done here soon.
She leaves no room for an argument by swatting the ladle at me. Just like that, I've been kicked out of the kitchen. Left with nothing else to do, I drift back to her tiny living space and slump down on the couch. Closing my eyes, I allow the noise from the television to guide my thoughts. The ones I've been keeping at bay, freeing them from the cage I've built around them so I won't have to think. One by one, they trickle back into my consciousness, each more frightening and unnerving than the other. So many things going on, so many things happening. The papers we've gotten from BRC doesn't provide any comfort either. Seriously, is there even a point to those after last night? What will asking those people do? If anything, this only proves that it might be more copies of that dumb piece of paper. We have one here, but how many exactly is there out there? More importantly, how do we get out of this stupid mess?
Ashton.
Damn it, I haven't felt this kind of bone-weary exhaustion in years.
I don't want to think what might happen next in case I miss something. Shit.
Rebecca, Zach, Isabella.
They're all depending on me and...
Ash!
The voice snaps me out of my thoughts, abruptly wiping away everything running a racket inside my head. Suddenly, Isabella's there, crouched in front of me when I crack an eye open. I haven't even noticed the exact moment when I've bent over and buried my head in my hands, figuring why she's staring at me like I've fainted or something. Creases on her eyebrows grow deeper at my lack of response. Although she's merely staring at me without saying a word, her expression says everything. So much for trying not to alarm her with bad news.
Sorry, I just spaced out for a moment. Don't mind me.
For a brief moment, she seems to accept that. Quietly, she shifts, stands up, and takes empty space right beside me. All done without a single comment. Then the next thing I know, she's gently pushing a bowl in my hands. Scent reaches me first before I've gotten the chance to take in what she just had handed me. A faint, sweet smell, calming, comforting, despite the multitude of things bothering me. It certainly smells like the kind of food you'll eat on a rainy day. Though from the get-go, it doesn't look as appetizing. What is this even? Porridge? Why would you put chocolate in it and milk drizzled on top? She tells me my tastes are weird, yet here she is handing me something equally as strange. In fact, she has already started digging in hers. I'm just not sure if the taste will be equally as appealing. Baffled, I glance her way. She offers no immediate answer, simply continues eating as if she hasn't done so in a week, with her focus solely on the television. She's not watching, however, just listening. As background noise, the voices from it seems too cheerful. A welcome distraction, if anything. It's only after she finished half of her bowl does she acknowledge the question in my eyes. With a sigh, she cradles the dish on her lap and looks down at it. Briefly, her lips part then closes. A hesitation, though I don't push her. There's a distant air on her, as if she remembered something that warrants a poignant thought. When she speaks at last, it's in a tone too careful, like she's still weighing her words, considering the proper phrasing for it. Yet sincerity underlies each syllable once they're out in the open.
You should eat. Back at home, Mama would never let us leave the house if we hadn't eaten breakfast yet. Even Papa has got an earful when he tried. So eat. You'll need it.
She returns to her food afterwards, while I can only stare at the ones she has proffered not a few minutes ago. Warm against my hands, tempting me to take a bite. Not that I don't appreciate this, but what good will this do? Zach and Rebecca's both out there. Who knows when the ghost will show up again? Even in our dreams, we're not safe. But that's it, isn't it? We don't know when, and at present we have a chance at respite. Maybe the only one we'll have. Even if it's as mundane as sharing food between us, quietly just sitting side by side like this without exchanging any words. The intent hangs unspoken in the air, something that probably goes as far back as the second she offered food. Still, in the end, Isabella never pushes it. Rather, she lets her own silence convey her hope. Whether I'll allow myself that break, she leaves it up to me. Yeah, we'll take her offer. First, let me click that out of the way, because I'm sure some people are just, trying to murder me. Take her offer. The words roll off my tongue, awkward and unfamiliar, far removed from those jests and quips we've shared. Yet she accepts this with a smile and nothing more. Yeah, look at that. Everything left unsaid, the sight of it brings comforts. More so than any generous offer of food can give. Though we both lapse in silence after as we finish our food, there's ease in it, in the muffled sounds of Luxborn's filtering in the room, and the light streaming from her windows, and the faint draft occasionally drifting in, catching the loose tendrils of her hair, and the way her voice falters when she tries to form words. And despite the horror looming over us, I find myself wishing for the minutes to slow, for the seconds to last. But ultimately, she's the one who breaks it, softly after a minute's pause and words mumbled under her breath. Sometimes silence simply compels us to speak.
I've been wondering, before last night, before Mama told me the news, what if Papa passes away, despite everything? That sort of thing. I know it's not good to think about, but I also knew it was getting worse. Mama won't say anything, but I've always known that one day, he'll eventually.
She releases a sigh as grip on her bowl she still holds tightens. There are no tears, but she might as well have them with how weak her voice falls, were there even any left.
I don't know what I'm going to do. Before, I can easily say it's because of Papa. Now, I don't have anything.
You have that scholarship from LuxU.
Were you going through my personal papers while I was sleeping last night?
I don't really have to. You left it sitting in the open, right there on the table.
Like there's still anything to hide, she snatches away from me where I've placed it back earlier. Except there's no anger or annoyance in her face when she looks at it and rereads every line with a pensive expression. After a short while, she folds it neatly along the creases and sets it back.
I don't even know if this will work out.
Well, if it doesn't, what about that exhibit you've been planning with Zach?
Do I even have to ask where you got that?
Zach sucks at lying. You have no idea how easy he is to read. It was all in his face when I asked about it. And anyway, if that doesn't pan out too.
I trail off, hesitating, measuring the weight of my next words. Genuine as they are, a part of me believes they are burden too heavy to impose upon her. Because no matter how much I want her to stay, they are not what ties her here. It'll be selfish to ask that of her. More than anything, her family will always come first. I say it nevertheless, if only to let her know that no matter what her choice will be, there will be people here whose lives, who lives here, mere presence have changed. Her, yeah,
You.
mine most of all.
You have us.
The word startled her to pause, and slowly she turns to me, her eyes wide, disbelief all over her face. But before regret forces an apology up my throat, her expression dissolves into something I can't quite place. Something distinctively softer, more tender, familiar, almost in the same manner she glanced at me years ago, day at the bridge. However, I don't get the chance to figure out what all of it means for her. All of a sudden, my ringtone breaks the moment, and just as fast, both our attention shifts towards the source. Before things can get awkward fast, I stand up and leave the room while muttering some flimsy excuse to answer the phone.
Sorry, let me just take this call. It's probably Zach or Rebecca.
You better hope. Really, I know we're in a pinch, but their timing can't get any worse. Nope. Unrelated frustration aside, once I step out of the room and accept the call, the person on the other side of the phone isn't who I'm expecting.
Eli's right, right? It's Officer Renz over at the precinct. You know, you bring me donuts to keep an eye out for you and shit.
Oh, yeah, right, Renz. What's up? You've, never called me through this line before. Is this something urgent?
Yeah, kinda. Something came up this morning. You know the big guy? Your, buddy? Big guy. Around 6 feet tall.
Uh-oh.
Zach?
I don't feel too good about this.
Yeah, him. Zachary Steele, I think.
He's in jail.
What about him?
He's dead.
He's been detained and
Wait, what?
What do you mean he's been detained?
they brought them in this morning.
That's not what I asked. What are the charges?
I don't know. Not my division. I'm not really supposed to be on the phone right now, but I thought you want to know. Anyway, I gotta go. If you want to see him, just drop by. Not sure how that'll work, though. The chief has a standing order not to let you into the precinct until Monday.
Yeah. Thanks for the heads up. I'll bring you some coffee to go with those donuts, too, next time.
The call ended with a click while I'm left here reeling, staring blankly at my phone. It's just my luck that at this exact moment Isabella chooses to peek out from her apartment.
Was that Zach? Is he gonna drop by?
I have no idea how I look right now, but it must be far from anything pleasant. Curious expression on Isabella's face quickly melts away as soon as she chances a closer glance at me.
What's wrong, Ash?
I'm left with no other choice than I tell her exactly as Officer Renz has said, and the more I spill,
Stay
the
here.
more
I'll go
grim I
check on
become.
him. See what I can do.
No, I'll go with you.
Belle, I'm not going in there for a casual visit. Zach's in trouble and...
I know, but he's not the kind of person who'd do something that'll land him in prison. There must be a mistake.
Trespass.
Believe me, I'm on the same page as you, but...
I want to see him, all right?
And there it is again, the same sharp gleam that has been present in her eyes since yesterday. Little by little, I'm finding it difficult to say no to it. What other choice do I have, too? Still no word on Rebecca and Zach. Isabella probably doesn't want to be the one who ends up waiting for the news. I know exactly how that feels, so in the end, a nod's the simplest response I can
Just
give.
let me turn off everything. I'll be out in a few.
Quickly, she disappears behind the door. From inside, the sound of her foot shuffling, a few locks clicking shut, and the television being turned off drifts out the hallway. Her whole business inside takes only a few minutes, and within 5, we're both on our way to LPD. At least we know where Zach is now. That explains why he's not answering his phone. But what the hell did you do, Zach? He's trespassing. He said he had a plan that might help, but if it got him in enough trouble to get himself in a cell, I don't think I like the plan of his. And hell yeah, I'm mad. I'm absolutely furious. It's just as Isabella said, I doubt Zach will get himself arrested because of an actual crime. But whatever stupid stunt he pulled to get there isn't any better. The only good thing today so far is the fact that the streets are nearly empty so early on a Sunday morning. Very few pedestrians and virtually no other cars on the road to get in the way of us rushing to the precinct. Within the speed limit, of course. A whirlwind of activity welcomes us as soon as we waltz into LPD headquarters. Fellow officers running here and there, pushing around paperwork and answering calls. It's almost Halloween and troublemakers are abound. Calls about pranks gone wrong make up most of the time of the year, along with the occasional altercation or missing dog. Some of the other officers who work with me look up from their desks and wave, though none of them moves to stop us like I'm expecting. Standing order my ass probably didn't last a whole day. Although I'd like to have a chat with them sooner or later about official matters, I'm not here for them right now. Of course, it never hurts to see what they have for me, and the best person to ask for the details is the precinct as the guy behind the booking window. Glances up at me once I approach, then immediately returns to his task, indifferent. Not that I need his full attention. As long as he talks, I'm good. Next to me, Isabella stands, wordlessly, clearly uncomfortable, waiting in anticipation for how close she's sticking to me. But that's probably because she's been in the same position so many times in her life. Her drunkard brother, the eldest, a repeat offender. Mostly minor cases, but she had to be the one to bail him out every time, from what I've gathered. Can't imagine what's going on inside her head now that it happened to a close friend. Hearing the way these guys talk.
I heard there's a new guy in the holding cells.
Not many here know Zach, and if they've seen him, they don't pay too much attention. I try to keep my work and personal life as far away from each other as I possibly can. Each one of them is quick to chat, gossip, be the one to talk about the new detainee, and have everyone's attention.
News flies fast, huh? They just brought him in this morning.
Any info on him?
Got his ass handed by some rich bloke's bodyguard. Or butler, whatever. When we got to the scene, he's already been strung up and ready for pickup. Hard to imagine how a guy like him could have been taken down, but the butler has this creepy air to him. I'd rather not ask. Feel sorry for the bloke, he could have fought back.
That's because Zach wouldn't hurt a fly.
All said under her breath, but her grip on her bag grows rigid. Unlike me, she's not frustrated at Zach. That ire is directed at the person who put our friend in this predicament. It's true, though. Zach's not the kind of person, and knowing he might be in the bad state, whatever little anger I've built for him on the way here
Has he been booked yet?
No, still sleeping. Creepy butler probably hit him hard.
Which is a good thing. If they slip up and forget, we get him a right of habeas corpus and take him out of there, depending on what he's actually being charged with. But at the same time, it's bad. How long is he going to be unconscious?
Your friend was caught on right property, and you better believe I'm not happy about this. Not
the chief.
one bit.
I want to say that there must be some sort of misunderstanding. Zach isn't the type of guy to do such a thing unless it was his plan all along. In that case, I couldn't just charge blindly into this without all the details, no matter how much I want to believe my friend's innocence. And Wright? Luke Wright? What on earth was Zach thinking? In any case, it doesn't look like Chief is happy, even if I don't protest and give him a salute. Not pleased at all in the fact that he grabs me and pulls me aside and is any indication. If I were to describe his expression, he looks ready to kill me.
I swear, Frey, if you're behind this, if you told Steele to stalk the rights because you were taken off the case,
I'm not stupid enough to ignore chain of command and go against official orders. Give me some credit, Chief.
And you better be sure you didn't. Luke Wright is coming here, and we both know he's trouble. I'd consider your friend lucky if he only gets charges put against him. Maybe if we can make sure he's in a good mood, he won't escalate the situation. Hell, maybe we'll have a bloody miracle and Steele only gets a slap on the wrist, but Lord knows it's unlikely with that man.
You know him well, Chief.
An observation, not an accusation. But it might as well be with how things panned out from the night of the housewarming party to the morning that followed. His wife's familiar with them too. Who's to say that friendship hasn't colored the investigation into Luke Wright? I don't want to accuse my superior, but damn it, he makes it difficult.
Of course I'd too, shouldn't you? We've been looking into the guy for so long.
Uh-huh.
I'd call you a bad detective if you can't even tell me whether he's right or left-handed.
That's an easy one. He's left-handed, but he's been taught to use his right. You can tell when he picks something up with his left hand, but when he realizes that, he moves it to the right.
Well, at least I don't have to question your ability. Anyway, if I were you, I'd either go and make myself scarce or sit down and shut up. Don't go aggravating people, basically, because you have a knack for that at the worst of times.
Hell yeah. As much as I hate to say it, but he's right. It's better to keep my mouth shut and not make things worse for Zach. There's not much to do now but hope for the best. They don't call for an investigation when it comes to petty felonies. Worst case scenario, he's looking at a fine worth £5,000 and 6 months in jail. Best case scenario, we get the charges bumped down to trespassing, a misdemeanor, and juvenile offense, and be given probation and will be charged for restitution. At this point, those seem to be the most likely outcome. I don't see how he could have been framed for breaking and entering unless he was taken into someone's property against his will. Even in my head, that sounds unlikely.
I don't know what you're talking about, sir. I think I'm a delight to be around.
Tell that to my blood pressure pills. Anyway, let me handle him, alright?
Right on cue, the moment Chief says that, you know who arrives. And like the arrogant show-off that he is, he makes sure his arrival is well noticed by everyone within the immediate vicinity. Behind me, Isabella gasps. She had no idea how much of a trash his previous client is. Now she's going to get a front-line view of it. The guy ignores the front desk even when Benjamin tries to greet him. He just blows past him, walks in all high and mighty as if he owns the place. Meanwhile, that creepy butler of his trails behind like a tamed dog on its leash. Doesn't help either that the other officers stop whatever it is they're doing and stare. Whether it's out of suspicion, curiosity, or judging by someone of their starstruck looks. They should quit it, get back to work, and stop giving the man the attention he obviously seeks.
I'm here to report a crime.
Of course, why else would you be here? You're either reporting something or being put behind bars, you imbecile. I'm going to...
Calm down, Ashton. No need to rile myself up. I need to calm down. Not for him, not for myself, but for Zach. It's already difficult holding back when his face looks like it could use a good right hook. Better to just let the Chief handle him. Sure enough, he's the first to walk up to him, bearing a smile way too friendly for comfort. Looking at them like this makes me sick to my stomach. It's easy to know there's something up underneath the guise of keeping up appearances.
I'll be happy to assist you with that, Mr. Wright. You'll have to issue your statements as victim and witness. We'll have to determine probable cause and properly file a criminal complaint. Of course, you understand.
Oh, I understand, though I don't see why you can't file that thing yourself. The cause is obvious, isn't it? He was breaking into my home in order to pilfer my belongings.
Well, we'll still need that police report. The prosecutor will be the one to determine what charges you can legally file against the accused.
Reports and prosecutors, why should we law-abiding citizens suffer through all that? Thugs like him should be kept off the streets. I mean, it's so obvious who these people are, you can practically spot them.
Wait, hold up. Is this guy for real? Can he hear himself? He's not saying what I think he's saying, I hope. I think he's talking about
Come here to our country, take advantage of our wealth and generosity, while we proper Brits work hard and pay our taxes. All the while they break our laws and ruin our civilized community.
He's talking about
Just like these
Africans.
should be kept contained. These uneducated...
Now, Mr. Wright. I know you're upset about what happened, but perhaps we should move to my office.
Of course. The sooner we can deal with the petty criminal, the better.
Can't believe the audacity of this guy. Did he really think himself better just because he was born rich?
I swear they should just ship these peasants back to where they came from. They're all criminals. It can't be helped. It's in their genes.
Despite myself, in spite of every restraint I placed on me, upon hearing those words, I can't help but open my mouth. Chief's warnings be damned. This is my friend he's fucking shitting on. Well, it's probably just best just to call him out. If I rush him and I attack him in any way, shape, or form, that's not good. He could say all the shit he wants, and I can say all the shit I want. So, I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, for me, it just... I don't know. You just can't take them seriously whatsoever. And then you just, let them die in a hole in the ground by themselves. Alone. and you know, move on with your life. Just call them.
They're all criminals? It's in their genes? Come here and say that to my face, you bastard!
Yeah. I realized my mistake only after his whispered plea reached my ears. Isabella's fingers dig deep through the fabric of my jacket as she tries to hold me back. True, I shouldn't have put myself out on the spotlight like that. But this guy, this fucking guy.
Oh, and who is this loud young man?
Glances at me like I'm a flea, a pest. But it's more disgusting how fast his expression changes once he spots Isabella behind me. Recognition flashes in his eyes the moment his attention turns on her.
I do recognize little Lily over there, though. Hello, long time no see. Is Pipsqueak your friend?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. He didn't.
Don't apologize to him! He doesn't deserve it! I can't believe you're all just listening to his shit!
You have to calm down, Ash.
Should have kept my mouth
Frey,
shut.
stand down! I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. Luke, you have to excuse him. He's under a lot of stress. Just got removed from a case, and the man is an acquaintance, you see.
But I'm not taking any of my words back because he is an utter bastard. From the way he stares at Isabella to what he has done to Zack, it all reeks of the rot that is Luke fucking Wright. Even after so many years, nothing has changed. He's still the same slimeball who does everything to get what he wants.
The thief is a friend of a cop? Now that is the start of a joke if I've ever heard one. A thief and a cop walk into a bar.
What's
He's
the
not a
difference?
And yet we found him trespassing on my property. There are eyewitnesses, and his grubby prints are probably all over my pristine walls as he was breaking in. Face the facts, little policeman. You've made the wrong sorts of friends.
He's not a criminal!
Okay, I get it. Let's move on. And that is the truth, but with the way everyone is looking at me right now, this must have been how Isabella felt when we won't believe her about the letter. Hey guys, you know, maybe the best result of all this is the ghost just kills him. That'd be awesome. I could choose. Or she'll just kill him. Just the thought of that leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. You see, the point of, I mean, you can't see my mouse, but I'm pointing at Luke. The point of people like this is they thrive in this environment. They thrive in this drama. They thrive in this attention. They thrive off of your hatred for them. That's the point. These people want you to know them. And, you know, they want to be immortalized in history and cemented and with their image and everything else like that. But if you don't give them the time of day or anything like that, they just crumble. They absolutely crumble.
Isabella, tell him! You know Zack. He's not the kind of person to do
Okay,
this shit!
I get it, Ashton.
Ash, we both know that. But yelling at him won't help Zack at all. Please.
Calm yourself, Frey! Unless you want me to throw you in a cell myself.
For what?
I understand you're upset that your friend is locked up, but the law is the law. And don't you worry, I won't be pressing charges against you. I don't know what charge, but I'm sure I can think of something if I need to. Do put a leash on your boyfriend, Lily. He might hurt himself. Being that angry can't be that good for his health.
I'm livid. Fist clenched and jaw tight. I'm nearly ready to just sock this guy good and make him on the promise of that. My frustration about it all must have shown because only now do I realize that aside from Isabella, the other officers have also jumped in to hold me back all this time. They don't even let go of me, not until I put a good distance away between me and Scumbag. And it's awkward going on from there. The precinct is quiet, though the usual hustle and bustle of activity stayed. Everybody is making a concerted effort to shut their mouths about the whole scene. I wish they made the same effort to keep themselves from staring at me, though. They all want to talk about what just happened. But at the same time, they don't want to acknowledge that it did happen and refuse to even make eye contact with me. All of it changes in the next second, though. It doesn't even register to me until it has already occurred. Before I have the chance to leave, ready to march out of the precinct, still angry and frustrated, all of a sudden, Isabella, who has been standing close to me not a second ago, grabs a half-full glass of water off one of the officers' tables and dumps the entirety of its contents on Scumbag. Ooh, and the expression on her is nothing short of seething.
You bloody...
It's been a pleasure doing business with you, sir.
Ooh, afterwards she slams the drinking glass down on the table with a loud thud. With the whole precinct, the sound it creates echoes thickly around the walls, almost deafening. In the face of her temper, nobody dare moves. But she doesn't give me time to relish the disbelief in Wright's face. She marches towards me soon after, and before I can say anything, she grabs me by the wrist and drags me out of the precinct. Honestly, I've never seen something so satisfying in my life. Well, maybe this will distract him from the fact of the Zach stuff. I might as well be grinning from ear to ear if I weren't feeling so pissed at a lot of things. Still would have loved to sock the bastard myself. Yeah, but that's a criminal charge, though. A few minutes later, finds it. Whoa! With the mood, two of us, specific scumbag. Let it melt away on its own. How long until then? Can't tell. Zach's still in lockup, and I wasn't able to do a damn thing past getting angry and almost socking the living daylights out of Scumbag. Yeah, but that will land me in jail. Really, I just want to hit something, damn it. I almost envy Isabella for having the guts to throw water at him. But as amazing as it was to watch, she still shouldn't have done that. This is right we're talking about. Well, we shouldn't have burst out either. Like, chill out. No matter how much he hits on any woman he sees on the street, the moment you piss him off, you better watch your back. Might have just been water, but she'll be living in the same city as him. Who knows when they'll meet again. He's just bunked up over at Ainslam. I shudder to think how he can easily make her life hell with just a flick of his finger. It doesn't help that the thought of that alone adds a whole new level of irritation atop the disappointment, anger, and outrage. In my frustration, I slam a hard fist down on the steering wheel. Only is what finally piques a reaction from
You
her.
would have ended up in an even bigger problem if you did hit him.
Exactly.
You threw water at him.
Yeah, but that's not.
Won't leave a mark, though.
Yeah.
He'll live. The only thing I ruined is his expensive suit.
It's not.
Still
like,
the same thing.
It's not a legal charge.
And you acting like this isn't helping Zach at all.
Really, blame is the last thing I want to hear right now, especially with the stunt she pulled. She means well, but anger clouds a lot of things. Yeah, well, I just did the same shit. Sometimes I can't just help but sprinkle my own answers with the same heat. What do you even know? I'm not gonna say that, but I know.
I know, damn it!
Somehow, admitting that out loud feels like a release in and of itself. Exactly. We don't want to, berate her. Shit like that. As if a dam has been opened, every pent of frustration spills from my mouth before stopping myself. Occurs to
It's
me.
one bad thing after another.
Yeah,
First,
okay,
get
chill.
kicked off my own case. Now
Chill out.
Zach's in jail.
Chill out.
And still no word from Rebecca.
Chill out.
To top it all off, there's a ghost. A damn ghost of all bloody things going
Maybe-
after us.
Maybe it'll kill Luke.
Everything's such a clusterfuck. Ow!
Ow! Without any warning, she gives my forehead a hard flick. A sense of deja vu hits me. The pain is fleeting, but enough to stop my triad. She appears completely unamused when I glance at her. There's no trace of anger in her eyes, though even lacks the sharpness of Rebecca has when scolding someone. Hers are softer, but doesn't fail to nail the disappointed mother look. All at once, regret replaces the annoyance.
You don't have to act so pissy all the time, you know?
Oh, Jesus. Bless me. Well, she's right about
Not
that at
everything's
least.
gonna go your way. That's something you'll have to live with. It's just how it is.
Easy to say, but the moment everything goes south,
Well, that's why we're here, right? It doesn't always have to be just you. You'll miss a lot of things in life, the good things, if you keep thinking like that. If my mama were here, you'd get a scolding.
She throws a quick smile my way and then turns her attention back to the window. Her gesture leaves no room for an argument. For some introspection, really, the whole thing did serve to help clear my head. And just like that, somehow everything doesn't look too bleak anymore. Isabel has always had that effect on people. Gratitude and apology almost formed in my lips.
Sup, Bob Ash
Still, before the words even fall, my phone rings, effectively cutting through the conversation. A quick glance at the caller ID shows Rebecca's name blinking on the screen. Besides me, Isabella stares, waiting.
It's Becca. I'll tell her to meet us at Salem Well as soon as she can. Excuse me.
Without another word, I slip out of the car and answer the call. However, the tone she assumes isn't what I'm hoping to hear.
Ashton, are you there?
Sounds like she's been running ragged, a bit out of breath. There's a tinge of urgency in it. Listening to her from my side of the line makes it seem like she has just run a marathon prior to this call.
Becca, where?
I got your
Library.
message. What happened?
Nothing. Well, Zach's in a bit of a tight spot right now. I'll tell you about it later.
God
There's
damn it.
nothing we can do about it now. Where are you, by the way?
Okay, I guess Becca's...
Listen, Ash.
Okay.
About that thing Isabella has been talking about. There's something you guys need to...
Please tell me you didn't... Whatever. Save it for later. We'll meet you there. This is... related to that. Yeah, she insisted to come with me.
With a quick press of the button, I switch on the loudspeakers and step closer to the window on Isabella's side. I hold out the phone towards her, giving it 2 shakes, urging her to speak. She's still carrying a curious look on her face. It's already bordering on worried, actually. This should ease that.
Rebecca's asking for you.
Becca? Is she okay? Hey, Becca!
Becca's lines just ain't working.
Becca! It's Zach! He's...
We'll tell you once we get there.
Oh.
It's not something we should discuss over the phone.
And please hurry.
Gotcha. Give us a few minutes.
She mumbles a goodbye, then hangs up. Becca's the last person I need to account for, yet the call left something strained in the air. Thankfully, we don't have to linger in it for too long. It's because she's been reading up on shit. The drive back to Salem Well only takes a matter of minutes. We'll find her pacing in front of Isabella's room, hands clasped tightly. The second she looks up, Isabella clings to her.
I'm so glad you're okay. Ashton checked on you this morning, but...
He did? I'm sorry. I was in a hurry. I didn't have time to drop by and let you know.
She had to
It
go to the
doesn't
library.
matter. What's important is you're here.
Not burnt to a crisp or brutally murdered somewhere. Whole, alive. Although she seems a bit shaken, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. At least now I can relax, ease the pressure off my shoulders, if only by some. There's still that problem with Zach. But the minute Isabella pulls away from her, she winces. A small reaction, the younger woman doesn't even catch it. It sets a precedence for a careful observation, nevertheless. A closer look at her reveals much more disheveled than usual, hair in a bit of a mess, probably flattened in a hurry. The back of her dress also shows stains of dirt in places it rarely gets into. She's also leaning. Perhaps most telling is the slight limp she has, noticeable once Isabella leads us into her apartment. It all sprouts a hat full of questions. What exactly happened? How she ended up in that state? Pretty sure a simple trip to the library won't do that. But she never gives me a chance to bring it up. The second we're seated in the tiny living room, she gets straight to the point and asks about Zach. Typical Rebecca.
All right, no more suspense. What happened to Zachary? And I don't want the two of you to mince words. Tell everything as it is.
They arrested him, Becca.
Arrested? As in the police?
Yeah. Ashton just heard about it this morning.
Her eyes quickly zero in on me, and at the raise of her eyebrow in question, I quickly fill her in on what happened. From the moment I've gotten the news down to the very person at the root of this trouble. The very person she's been friendly with from the start. She falters the second I drop Scumbag's name, disbelief all over her features.
Are you sure it's him? This must be a mistake.
No.
Yup,
This guy's
quite
nice.
sure it's the bastard we saw at the precinct, in all his pompous glory.
What was Zachary even doing in the mansion? Breaking and entering? Are you kidding me? I know Zachary can look a bit intimidating at first glance, but he's not the kind of person who will do those things.
That's exactly what we told the police. But they won't listen. Apparently they caught him in the act.
Of course they won't. They're up against Wright's smug face, for fuck's sake. He's the one who has the money.
There must be something we can do to help him.
I'm still up for kicking his ass if anyone's asking.
Not that. Anything but that.
Oh, come on, you threw water at him. At least let me score.
We need something that'll help Zach. If you really want to hurt something, go punch the wall or your face. I'll talk to him.
Immediately, all the banter in the room stops, and we both turn to her. You're gonna go talk to Luke, right?
Who? Luke.
Oh, you ain't?
I'm sure he'll see reason.
No. She wastes no time. Ignoring her limp, she gathers her things and stands up, ready to leave. I grab for her arm before she can walk past, carefully to avoid hurting her in case there really is an injury. Seems like it at first glance, but can't be sure until after examination has been made. I suspect some bruising at least, although minor internal fractures aren't out of the equation. They have a nasty way of staying hidden. But that possible injury is the least of my problems right now, not when she's likely planning a march in the Ermengarde mansion just to talk to the guy. And I have a slew of opinions about that.
Becca, this thing with Zach has already gone down the legal territory. Smugface already filed the case this morning.
Isn't that another reason to talk to him?
No.
It'll be difficult, especially when he's so eager to get to the precinct this morning.
Okay, whatever. I have a better relationship with Rebecca.
Unless we find evidence that'll prove Zach's innocence, there's nothing we can do at the moment. Chief will kick me out of my own precinct if I keep insisting.
Becca does give it a moment of thought. She still appears like she wants to head first to Anselm though, but after a minute's silence, thankfully, she concedes.
All right, but promise me you'll get Zachary out of that place.
I will. There's no way in hell I'm leaving him in there. Besides, even if you could reason with Smugface.
Stop calling him like that. And you wonder why he won't listen.
Even if you could reason with Smugface, you're not going anywhere with that limp.
As expected, she tries to hide it. When she squirms from my grasp, it's with enough force she almost stumbles back at the couch if has not caught her fall. Even with Isabella shooting her concerned look, she's swift to shrug it off.
It's fine. I just had a little accident.
Little accident. Hard to believe when her other arms nursing the supposedly fine arm.
In a library? Well, yeah. It kinda caught me off guard.
Something's happened there, hasn't it?
I don't have to elaborate on the question further. Shortly, she goes very still, and the hand placed over her right arm shifts ever so slightly, its grip on the limp tightening. Not too firm to hurt, but just enough for a gesture of comfort for herself. Warily, she casts a glance at everyone in the room, but only the one she spares, for Isabella lingers longer. Then in the moment, something unspoken passes between them. An understanding. It strikes me seconds later how utterly familiar her expression is. The same, oh my god, one I've seen far too many times in Isabella. Since the day at the movie house, every time her attempts to warn us has been so rudely dismissed.
Can we? We have to check if it's bad.
Becca hesitates for a moment. Then, after a minute of consideration, she sighs and reaches for the hem of her sleeve, raises it just enough for Isabella to take a good look at it. Not swollen, but a large portion of her skin starting to turn an ugly shade of purple.
Oh, ouch. That bruise isn't going to look pretty. Tell me about it. It was a library cart that hit me. You know, the old metal ones they keep near the history section.
She fucking flung one at you.
There? She went after you. Yeah, I was in the archives, looking something up. Suddenly, she was just there. Belle, she was using my own students against me. What kind of terrible person does that?
Luke Wright.
Oh, it makes my blood
the ghost.
boil.
You should have just ran. That woman's not something you can hit with a book.
Laugh it up, Ashton. I did. Then the bloody cart came out of nowhere. And you know what? If it weren't for a damn book, I would be dead by now.
That's true. Silence descends in the room as gravity of the one word hits all of us. Dead. Dead. Exactly. Another close call, another would have, another one we've narrowly avoided. How long can we keep this up? We're bound to break at one point. No normal human being with a sane mind can last like this. It's a miracle Isabella hasn't cracked yet. After all, she was the one who found that letter. I've expected her to have caved in by now, yet her voice, calm and composed in the face of this, is what cuts through the thick air.
I'll go get a cold compress for that arm. You guys take a seat first. Ashton and I, we have a lot of things to talk about.
That marks the end of it, at least for the time being. And as soon as Isabella returns and hands Rebecca the cold compress she promised, we get straight down to business. Surprisingly easy considering the rigid air in the room. Although there's some tense fumbling for words at first, the whole conversation gained steam once that we found last night at BRC has been put on the table. All at once, everything we've brushed off, carelessly ignored, and rudely dismissed have been laid out for close scrutiny. Our own encounters with the woman, Rebecca's close brushes with death every time she appears, dread, the fear, the terror she brings out even in the bravest of us, everything. Because no matter how bleak this all seems, there must still be a way out of this. There has to be, logic be damned. Or at least that's what Isabella and I would like to believe. Yet even as the cold morning light shifts to warm hues of late afternoon and eventually night, none of this still makes a fucking damn sense. Darkness has fallen, but we're still nowhere near figuring things out. If anything, we're more at a loss than we've ever been before we even started this. The next thing I know, frustration rears its ugly head and the sheets of paper I've been holding smacks the table louder than I've intended. The sound of it echoes loudly in the small room and everyone simply falls silent, along with it a release of another long-held breath. Perhaps the 100th since this morning.
We aren't getting anywhere at this rate.
Don't just drop it! There must be something in this we aren't seeing yet. Ash, please. Zach wouldn't want us to give up on this.
It's an odd thing to hear from her. The very words I've been telling myself every single time I find myself facing a dead end. We can use a little of the optimism right now. Too bad Z-Man's better at this than me.
I know, but what are we supposed to be looking at here in the first place?
Well, we already looked through those files. You're the one that picked it out last night, right?
All of them? I'm pretty sure every person we've checked in there isn't necessarily involved. One client possibly died of old age. Remember, you found that dumb paper right before the open house. No one was allowed inside that place for a time that day. It's too broad of a scope if we include every single person. In fact, the only notable ones are C and Jean Marie.
But if we're going to include them in the count, shouldn't there have been more than enough people to end this fucking curse already? Does this thing even work?
Yeah, okay. They went in and out of this place. But no, you still don't get it. What I'm trying to say about those clients is...
Maybe there's something more to this.
What do you mean?
Becca makes a vague gesture at the paper she brought, then crosses her arms and leans back on her seat to glare at it. The way she's staring at it, you'll think she wants to see the entire stack on fire.
Apparently, there was some stuff that people haven't been telling us.
You mean our own teachers have been lying to us all this time?
Hey, now don't blame us. Blame the bloody books they wrote.
Quietly, Isabella reaches for one of the papers Rebecca had brought with her and carefully inspects the words printed on the page. A copy of an old newsprint from even before the city has been founded. Her eyes narrows with each line it passes, but lingers at the illustration of the noblewoman's servant.
Why do they have to keep this in the restricted section?
Rebecca merely shrugs at her inquiry, but her own annoyance seeps through her answer.
How should I know? I wasn't even aware we have archives that go as far back as this. This is before the city was even founded. As a matter of fact, if it weren't for Andrew's help, I wouldn't have gotten my hands on any of it.
Maybe there's a reason.
Maybe they didn't think it would be important to talk about it. After all, this is more Anselm's than ours.
That or some old bugger's hiding something.
Why else would tell a completely different story? Revising what's written seems a useless endeavor on its own when you have nothing to gain from it. Thanks to those who are also missing a lot of things here, there's still a gap. A huge one. Even with the information we currently have right now, it still feels like there's something we're overlooking. All we have to go with it is the mansion, the letter, and all this stuff selfish people have been keeping from the public. But what else? Oh, but you will have to find out in the next episode.